Welcome to the Broadway Drumming 101 podcast, where we share what it takes to build a successful career as a musician in musical theater and beyond, with your host, Clayton Craddock. If you're serious about Broadway, here are 2 resources that could change your career. The first is the free How to Land a Broadway Gig Roadmap. This breaks down exactly how the industry works, who the key players are, and how to position yourself to get the call. It covers building relationships the right way, getting on sublists, and creating real opportunities. And the best part? It's completely free. Just become a subscriber to Broadway Drumming 101. Free or paid, and you can grab it instantly. Head over to BroadwayBoundBook.com/roadmap and get it today. The second thing you need to get is the Broadway Sub Playbook, and it's just $7.99 at signaturebrandworks.com. This is a step-by-step guide that takes you from the moment you get the call all the way to opening night. How to study the score, build your sub-book, take notes from the conductor, and walk into that pit like someone who absolutely belongs there. These are the exact systems that most working Broadway musicians use every day. If a career in theater is what you're after, these 2 resources will help get you there. If you want the full picture, pick up Clayton's book, Broadway Bound and Beyond. It's available at Amazon.com and other places where books are sold online. If you want a signed copy, you can get one today at signaturebrandworks.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to Broadway Drumming 101. My guest today is Mackenna Tolfa. How are you today?
I am doing fantastic. So excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
I have a really deep question to ask of you to start off. I'm sorry to surprise you like this. Do you still have that blue sparkle kit when you were like really young?
I don't. I actually have no idea where it went. And that video that you're referencing, I just found that like a few weeks ago.
Really?
And yeah, I had no idea that the drum set I was playing on was titled the Rockstar, which is crazy. Like there's like so many weird parallels. I have no idea where that drum set ended up, but I've got to ask my parents. Maybe it might be somewhere buried in our basement on my house. So,
how young were you when they gave that to you?
My cousin got me that kit. I think I was like 3, maybe. The whole thing was birthed out of a family tradition that we had growing up, where my uncle would bring his accordion to like every birthday party, family event. And my cousin at the time was studying drum set, and I wanted to be just like him. So he got me that little drum set to start practicing on. Way long ago.
How long did it last?
That's a good question. For him or for me playing on my little kit?
Yeah.
I had that thing for a while. I want to say I might have even gone through, it's all coming back now. I feel like I might have gone through more than one of those little things.
Oh, really?
From like Sam's Club or something. Yeah. I think I had it until I was at least 5, starting grade school, I want to say.
So you
Maybe
said you had
it could be somewhere.
You had a cousin that was a drummer?
Yeah, he was playing just for fun as a kid, and so he would play with my uncle, and I was very jealous. I wanted to play too, so yeah, he got me that little drum set, and then eventually I did step in and play the big kit with my uncle eventually, which was kind of the beginnings of everything.
Were there other drummers that you looked up back then, on TV or videos that you admired that made you say, okay, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, my dad, big rock guy, Neil Peart, was a huge inspo for me. Phil Collins, like those 2 drummers were like the staples in our household. I watched them all the time. My dad has every DVD concert imaginable, and he still to this day will like play them on our TV. So I was surrounded by that kind of stuff throughout my childhood.
So you grew up in Green Bay?
So born in Milwaukee and then moved like really early on in my childhood to Green Bay and spent most of my time there.
Are you a big football fan?
I would say I'm more of a baseball fan, but as of recently, I am way more into Packer stuff. I did my first fantasy football league this year, so I was really excited. Go Pack Go.
I guess you can't be a Cowboy fan and being Wisconsin or any other kind of fan. Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So you had that drum set and your cousin was playing. You said your uncle, or you?
Yeah, my uncle.
Okay. So to go from that to playing to taking lessons, you started taking lessons, and did you? People that are old like myself, we started just playing on the practice pad, the old practice pad that was like tilted, like traditional grip. What was the first thing that you did starting out with your lessons? Do you remember?
Yeah. So I actually took a really weird path to get to drumming, like practicing with the teacher. I started studying piano, classical piano first.
Hmm.
So, and my teacher, unbeknownst to me at the time when I started studying with her, went to school for classical percussion and went as far as her master's degree and then wanted to pivot and do something else. But when it came time to like pick the instrument I wanted to play in school, weirdly enough, I chose trumpet at first for whatever reason. And then I started like seeing all of the kids in the back of the room playing drums, and I was like, no, I got to do that instead. That's way cooler. I started studying drum set or classical percussion with her, which started on a drum pad, doing a lot of the rudimentary stuff, just getting the technique down with the wrists and all of that stuff. I remember spending hours with her just doing different strokes, trying to get all of that down. But I studied both piano and percussion with her pretty much from middle school through the start of college. And I even went back and studied with her in college. I was doing like 2 lessons at the same time for a little while between my college professor and her, just because we had such a close connection and I missed it. It's a really interesting, weird path to kind of get to the classical percussion world that I ended up dedicating my time to.
And you still play trumpet?
I can play a scale, probably, but not very well.
So no Miles Davis solos and Brown.
Unfortunately, though, I was not graced with the gift of horn playing.
So I guess you don't have that lying around anywhere.
My dad and my brother play brass instruments, so there's still stuff laying around house, back home. They play and they're really good. So I let them do that, and I kept the drumming path.
In high school or junior high and high school, were you playing in bands or were you playing in the concert band? Like what kind of activities were you doing?
Yeah, I was doing a little bit of everything. I was playing in concert band. I did jazz band for a little bit, marching band, drumline, show choir combo band, and musical. I had a really close friend group in the music department there, and I was really close with the teachers in both the choral side and the band side of things. So I just wanted to spend all my time with them. And so I did a little bit of everything, and I loved it. It's kind of where my love for musical theater really was born.
Were you listening to a lot of pop music back then too?
Yeah, big time. I'm a huge Lady Gaga, Beyonce, Rihanna, like the staples. I mean, they're big inspos for me.
So if you had I know before we got started, we were talking about being on a tour bus. If there's one tour and being on the tour bus with a particular artist, which artist would you love to be on tour with right now if they were on tour?
They were Lady Gaga. That's been like the penultimate goal my whole life.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Lady Gaga, if you're watching, trumpet. Hey.
Actually, I do know the keyboard player, so.
Oh my God,
cool
amazing.
guy, man. The guy, I don't know if you've seen the circular piano.
Yeah, so cool. So cool.
Yeah, she's no joke.
She's no joke. One of the guys in the Vegas Blue Man show was her instrument tech for the jazz residency there for a little bit. When I found out he was doing it, I was like, tell me everything. Like, what's she like? And no, it was really cool. And he had nothing but amazing things to say about working with her. She's still top of the list for sure.
So your drum set, that blue drum set was called the Rockstar. That is your moniker now in the show, or is that what you call yourself?
No, not what I call myself.
Say, look at me.
The character name that I play is the Rockstar.
That's cool.
So perhaps a little foreshadowing for the future when I was a wee little lad.
Did they know that?
No, they didn't know that until recently. I sent that video to the marketing team at Blue Man. I was like, hey, I just found this. I don't know if going forward, if any interviewees would have use for this, but feel free to show it to whoever, because it's such a weird parallel that I had no clue was a thing until very recently.
For years, I moved to New York City to be a rock star, but I didn't really understand what it really entailed to be an actual rock star, to be really, really popular. Being really popular is different from being really very wealthy. I would like the wealth part. A little bit of recognition doesn't hurt. But when I did the rock orchestra tour last fall and got a chance to experience a little bit of what it kind of feels like being in front of thousands of people and they're all screaming, I did a drum solo and they were like, "Oh my God, you're so cool." But being up, going from place to place, it's rough. But in my opinion, I think it's more exciting and more interesting than being in a pit where nobody knows you. For instance, when I walk out of the theater every day, everybody's waiting to have their playbill signed, and they look at me and they're like, "Okay, move along."
Okay, right. Yeah, I know that feeling very well as well. It's such a weird, so strange going from being on stage to under the stage. It's very humbling. I mean, it is such a rewarding. It's both experiences so rewarding for very different reasons, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's so interesting starting from world tour, doing stuff on stage all over the map, and then pivoting to Broadway pit playing for a little bit. I was like, wow, I'm in this room by myself, in this remote room, sometimes in like a closet. And yeah, it was a great opportunity to like really hone in on my like technique and technical skill. I feel like I became a way better player, especially like in an ensemble setting through the Broadway pit playing. And now it's been nice taking that, all those things I learned and kind of applying that to this tour, starting up, Blue Man on the North American tour again. I feel like I have all of these little tools to add to my toolbox that I'm now, bringing into this.
Yeah, it is a different thing being in the pit, doing my new show and getting back on the 8-show week.
Yeah.
Realizing you're doing the same thing the same way every night, but trying to perfect it so you don't make mistakes. It's not easy to do. This is not easy. And, when you can see the notes right there, I was telling what the guitar player and the bass player in my show, it's like, look, the notes are right there. Just play that. But, for some reason we, make mistakes. And it's like, it's a challenge for me to try to get it right every single night. It's like doing a recording session and just saying, I'm going to get this take right. But you have to get it right in front of, again, thousands of people that are watching above and all the cast and the crew, and everybody's expecting you to play the same thing.
That discipline as well is so different. I mean, Blue Man, there's no written music, which is something that's really interesting. So when I learned this part originally, all playing by ear, watching a drummer play passage and then playing it back. And there's also an element of improvisation to the show as well, and scoring what's happening on stage. And then the other really interesting niche thing about Blue Man is that after every single show, all of the actors and musicians, every department, we all get together and we give each other notes,
wow.
And so that was the other very interesting pivot, was going from, getting feedback every day of like, how can we come in tomorrow and make this better, and having that community to talk to, and then holding myself accountable when it came to being in the pit. It's a very interesting niche thing that Blue Man does, which is really cool, and also has helped me gain a lot of communication skills, I feel like, and take criticism, because we can all give it to each other. Like, I can talk to lighting, they can talk to me. It's like, it doesn't just apply to the musician in the show. Like, we can all collaborate on it, which is it's really cool, but also takes a lot of learning how people communicate and how they best receive information, and finding ways to communicate criticism in a way that's not taken personally too. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. And I love that part about it. It's actually one of my favorite aspects of Blue Man, is the note giving part of the night. because we're able to reset every single show and play it a little different. We have a sound check every single day. Whatever we talked about the day before, we're implementing in the show the next day. It's not like major changes by any means, but it is, like, oh, let's try pacing this a little bit different. Oh, what if we add this here, and experimenting with those things. And then if it doesn't work in the show, then we take it out and we reevaluate. It's a really cool way of collaborating.
So going back to the Rockstar thing.
Yeah.
You going from Blue Man and you're on stage and people can see you, even though you have a wig and you have makeup, when you come out, were you part of obviously, I guess you were part of the scene where you come out and sign autographs and people would know who you are because you are on stage. And how did that feel?
Actually, interestingly enough, because I have this wig on, and we also, like, when it comes to playbills and stuff, we're not named. So we're an anomaly, which is cool. So we like go on stage and kind of have like all of this attention on us. But then I will go out, I'll go out in the lobby after and nobody knows it's me. It's like,
really,
like incognito. Yeah. I love that. It's like nice to kind of have that separation, but also because we do the note setting every night, where sometimes the show itself is like 90 minutes, no intermission, but we'll spend the other half of that time sometimes that would be, we would be playing maybe a musical that's a bit longer. We will take that additional time and talk that whole time about the show and go through like a lot of the different nuances. So we most of the time we don't have people waiting at the stage door because we take so long to come out.
Oh,
yeah. So that's the other half of it. But I have had, I've had some like guests come and I've snuck out and like said hi to them in the lobbies, especially these last couple of weeks. And it's so funny because nobody knows who I am at all. It's, which I love. I think it's cool that, we're sort of the aliens on stage and like, we're so unrecognizable in a sense, nobody knows it's us. So
it is interesting. When I went to go see it downtown in Manhattan with my kids years ago, I think I saw it twice. I think I saw it in Vegas and I saw it in New York. Yeah, you can't really tell who that person is because of the makeup, and they all look the same.
Yeah.
But let's go back. You went to the University of Minnesota. Why there and not someplace like the University of North Texas or Juilliard or Berkeley?
Yeah. So main motivator for going there was the head of the percussion department, Fernando Meza, is the original percussionist for Lion King before it went to Broadway. And I was really wanting to get into orchestral pit playing. And so main motivator was getting to study with him and kind of pick his brain about how to get into this. And he had a lot of connections out in New York. I studied classical percussion with him for those 4 years. And he's just one of the most incredible human beings on the planet. One thing that also really drew me to him is that he doesn't really have a black and white path for his students when you study with him, where it's like everybody's given the same lessons, same curriculum, so to speak. He really will take time to create a program that works for you individually and what your dream is. What is the ultimate goal? And really make sure that however he sets up your 4 years there is really feeding that particular thing that you're interested in. So he connected me with a lot of really incredible musicians throughout my time there, including Rolando Morales Matos, who's now doing his role on Broadway and took over once it moved to New York. So I got to meet him my freshman year of college. And I did this crazy thing, which I can't take credit for. It was actually my dad's idea when I was in high school. I wrote a letter to the stage door of the band's visit. I was obsessed with that show and I wanted to learn more. So I wrote the drummer a letter and had it delivered to the stage door. And we connected over email and like we're kind of pen pals for a little bit. Just asked him a ton of questions about how he got to where he was. And eventually he was like, hey, like, if you're in New York, let me know. Like, you can come do a pit sit and like see the show, all of that stuff. So it became like this really beautiful relationship between the two of us, and he was a huge mentor for me throughout my time at the university. And he eventually was the person that let me know that the Blue Man audition was happening. So it was all kind of just through connections that I was making throughout my studies in school, and just having like really wonderful mentors that were just willing to give their time and talk to me and answer questions.
So you were in Spain, and you
Yeah.
tell me about this story about getting the call to audition
Oh,
for the Blue Man. First of all, what part of Spain were you in? I'm just curious. I can't remember.
We'll get back to the episode in just a minute, but all of us here want to take a moment to say thank you for supporting the podcast and for listening. We also want to let you know that Clayton's new book, Broadway Bound and Beyond, A Musician's Guide to Building a Theater Career, is officially out, and we're really proud of it. This book lays out what it actually takes to build a career on Broadway. The mindset, the preparation, the relationships, the money side of the business, and how to create longevity instead of just chasing the next gig. You can get your copy right now on Amazon.com. You can also get a signed copy by heading over to signaturebrandworks.com. If you're serious about your career, this book is for you. Now let's get back to the episode.
So you were in Spain, and you tell me about this story about getting the call to audition for the Blue Man. First of all, what part of Spain were you in? I'm just curious. I can't remember.
yeah. So I was in the southern part, Cabo de Gasa, which is a nature reserve. So it's actually like, to live there or have a house there is, you have to go through a ton of legal. So just setting up, there were literally in this town I was in the time, 400 people. Like that's how small it was. And the southern part is also a desert. So there's nothing there. Like there's a couple towns and then like a few hours between the next place. I'd gone to Spain with my partner at the time, and we had landed, and Phil Mayer, who's the drummer from the band's Visit, sent me a message on Facebook about hearing that Blue Man was going to be premiering a new feature female role for the first time in its history. He'd heard about it and wanted to know if I had interest, and he was going to put my name forward for it. And at the time, I was still in school. I was going into my final year of my bachelor's degree. And so this like completely took me by surprise. I was not expecting anything like this to come my way ever, especially not while I was still in school. And so I was like, yeah, I would love to. However, I am literally, I don't have any clue how I'm going to make this work. Thankfully, the timing of all of this was like so perfect. One of the many perhaps good things that came out of COVID, which was a horrible time, is the remote stuff. And so Blue Man was offering this audition, the first round, remotely, which was a huge blessing in disguise at the time. And so I was like, okay, I can try to do this audition here. Now, how am I going to get a drum set to do this thing? And so I remember saying yes, and then spending like 2 days with literally no sleep, just pacing around, trying to get leads from people I knew and also like my partner's family knew people in the city that were musicians, just trying to figure out like where could we put out the truck set. And we found this one shop in Almeria, Spain, which is about 2.5-ish hours from where we were, that had one drum set in this back room, and they were willing to like let me rent it for a few hours to try and film this audition. And so they, being the best, were like, yeah, let's go. We'll drive you there and like we'll make a day out of it. We'll give you as much time as you need to audition. And so they like literally drove me all around Spain to make this thing happen. But I remember getting to the drum shop, and it was a like record-breaking temperatures in the desert that day. I think it was like 115 degrees or something crazy like that. And the room I did the audition in had no AC at all. So it was just like one thing after another that we were just like, I was trying to like overcome to like make this thing happen. And so I filmed the audition, which was basically the music director of the company and one of the drummers from New York sent me a video of them playing multiple sections from the show. And I had something like 2 hours once they sent me it to like record and send it back to them in video form. And they were looking for, not only was I going to play the part that they were playing, but also like, what is my performance presence like? So it's so much of the role is also the character side of things. And again, through Fernando and through connections that I made throughout school, I happened to get close with the music director for the Berlin Blue Man Group show. He was somebody that I was like texting like, hey, I got told about this audition. Do you know anything about it? And he offered a lot of time that day to just talk me through like, this is kind of what they're looking for. I sent him my audition reel before I sent it over to the music director. So I also had him he was a huge part of that day. And the fact that I moved forward in the audition, it was just like a lot of moving pieces that were like in the right place at the right time. And so much of it is just the tremendous amount of support that I have had with other musicians and also with my partner's family. It was amazing. So I sent my audition in. They didn't know anything about what, I had endured to make this whole thing happen. They told me I advanced to the next round of the audition process. And that round was an interview where I was like, I've got to tell them this story. They need to know like what had to happen in order for this whole thing to even be possible. And I like to think that the story probably was a good reason why I advanced into a callback round, final round of this whole thing. But yeah, I want to say it was like maybe 2 or 3 months later was the final callback round. So it was like over 100 applicants, and then the final callback round was 10 of us got flown to New York, to do it in person. And the other really interesting thing about the Rockstar role in all of this is that nobody, even on the Blue Man side of things, Dave and Ania from Berlin that I was just referencing that I talked to, nobody really knew what they were going to ask us to do in the audition. So I had like prepared some drum set stuff, and like there was no way of knowing. So we were like really truly, even with people from the Blue Man world like in the mix and helping me through the audition, like it ended up being something so different than what I had thought I was walking into at the end of the day, that we like truly were thrown into the deep end with the audition and just what they were asking us to do in the final round. Like it was all stand up, like multi drum set, which is now what I'm playing. But I was prepared to be playing drum set for that audition, and it was not even on that. It wasn't on that instrument at all. So those 2 months of time, I was like practicing all this stuff, and so it was really interesting. And I think that final round, I just had to have like a internal dialogue with myself about how special that experience was, that I wasn't going to let myself leave without feeling like I'd left it all out on the table, and like kind of let my pride stay outside of the audition room. And because I was like, I'm never going to get this opportunity again. I really, really, truly did not think I was going to end up with the role at the end of the day. So I just was like, let's go in there and have fun. And like all of these people in this room, they're all like a major part of Blue Man's history, which is so cool. You get to play for them. I don't know. It was a very special experience. And then I ended up booking it, which was crazy.
Where was your first show and what was it like?
First show was in Japan, in Sendai.
What?
It was crazy. It wasn't an arena, but it was a pretty big theater. I remember it was sold out. And the loft that I'm in is open, so I can see everybody. And I remember walking up there and being like, oh God, that I can sing. This is so crazy. Like, yeah, I can still like I'm reminiscing. Like I can remember that feeling. It's so cool. It was something that I was like, I'm never gonna forget this day. This is a core memory. It was amazing.
So the Blue Man Group isn't just about playing drums, it's about acting and timing and all that. Was that something that they taught you, or how'd you figure all of that stuff out?
No, actually, that was one thing It's interesting. I think one thing that helped me with this audition is that I was really obsessed with marimbaists throughout my studies in school and just their physicality. And I think there's a few like big names, Julie Spencer, Daimo, Eiko Abe, like they bring a certain physicality to the instrument that in a sense, because it doesn't resonate like other instruments do, they can create like these illusions almost with their gestures where like sound is lasting longer than it actually is. And they use their, like their whole body is involved in music. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. So I spent a lot of time in school experimenting with how my physicality could contribute to the music and communicate things clearer to an audience. And so that really set me up with this job, because a lot of the time, like there's moments where I'm hitting, half notes or whole notes, and I have to figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of that time before I hit the next note. And so a lot of the stuff I kind of self-taught just from watching videos and obsessing over like their physicality and their performance presence was able to be applied to this role. And so a lot of it for me has been just about manipulating the sound and creating an illusion from whatever I'm doing, whether it's like playing a giant bass drum or on the stand-up kit, just finding ways to like draw sound out of the drums. And then the other like more acting character side of things, we've kind of developed, like each person that plays this role develops their own version of the Rockstar character. I've been compared to Animal from the Muppets. So I definitely like approach it more like primal. Like another drummer, like I would describe her more like regal. And it really stems from who we are as people as well. So it doesn't feel like acting necessarily. Like we're bringing like a piece of our own life experiences into the show. And I think when they casted for this role, that's a major reason why a lot of the people have gotten chosen to do it, is because it's like they don't have to act like they're just them and they fit the character mold that they're looking for, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you were the first featured female drummer in Blue Man Group. Did you do any research as to who was the first woman drummer in the show?
Yeah, they actually had a female Blue Man for a little bit, but outside of the female Blue Man, I want to say actually one of the other rock stars is Sung Jewel, who's actually a big sub in New York, Anastasia Kostromionov. She goes by AJ. I want to say she was actually the very first female to play the drum set band role as of like, I think just over a year, 2 years ago. I'm trying to remember, but it has been, there have been women that have come through the company, but as far as like even the band side of things, I want to say that she was the first person to do it. And that was only, I want to say it was in 2024. So like 2 years ago in the fall.
So she was one of the drummers, but not one of the, she was one of the drum set players, but not one of the drummers in front.
Both roles. So she was a rock star out on the world tour for a little bit. And then she's from New York. She lives in New York. So she got tossed into the loft with the band, the full band, and did the kit part, which is notorious. Blue Man does this really weird thing with their parts where the hi-hat and the bass drum are played simultaneously, like 16th notes. It's crazy. And the pedal work, especially like on the hi-hat side of things, I'm like, wow. So she did that. And I want to say she is the very first female to do that role, because it is tough. It's super, super, super hard. So kudos to her if she watches this, but she might, honestly. But yeah, so Blue Man has always, like the one big thing is that anyone can be a Blue Man. The Blue Man is a genderless character. Thing that has made it less accessible to women is the height requirement. Like you were mentioning, you never really know who's who, but and that most of that has to do with the fact that they're looking for like the uniform height. And like, another big part of their casting process is like the facial structure of person too. Like their eyes and like the bone structure doesn't work with the makeup, does it not work? So there has been a female Blue Man and female performers, you know, in the company, but this is the first time they're like really highlighting a female character that they've compared to being like the fourth Blue Man.
I would say you're like the Pete Best of the Beatles, but they had obviously 4 members already, but you're way better than, you know, who Pete Best is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you're a whole other level than that. You're like, I can't even describe that. That's cool though. I mean, it's really cool to hear that story and just even watch some of the footage of you playing and seeing what you're doing. It's really cool. And years ago when I saw the Blue Man Group downtown, I tried to audition to be one of the drummers, and they play so hard. I was trying to smack the drums, and I'm like, I couldn't even come close. I'm like, no, you got it. I can't do that. And then, of course, the whole Blue Man thing, you have to, like you said, you have to be the right height and the right fit. You can't be, you know, overweight. That's another thing. I was like, okay, that kind of counts me out too. Plus now, you know, being older, I've got this beard. I'm not shaving this off.
Yeah, that is.
I got a bald head though, so I'm good. So they put skull caps on people, I suppose, right?
So they don't have to shave their hair up, but they do. I mean, yeah, the facial hair has to come off. So I know every time I like, we'll do like layoffs and come back and they're, you know, fully bearded. And I'm like, who are you? I don't recognize you guys.
Beards like down here.
Some pretty full beards. Yeah.
Really?
Can't lie. Like they grow hair fast. Crazy.
Other questions I have. I haven't seen you know, do the full show, but do you have to eat Captain Crunch and throw marshmallows, whatever you guys throw at each other?
I don't have to. I will say one thing I'm so grateful for about this role is I don't have to eat anything. Yeah, that like the big like traditional pieces of the show, the gumball and marshmallow piece, that's been around since the very beginning. Like that's still in the show. And I don't envy that moment. I watch it from the loft every night. I'm not going to give away what happens, but you know what happens. And
yes.
I don't envy that at all. So if you want to find out what happens, come to the show. But yeah, thankfully I don't have to eat anything. There is a moment I'm behind them on the paint. They're playing paint drums, and I do get splashed with a lot of paint at the end of the show, which is really fun actually. Nice way to cool off. So I enjoyed that part of it.
One last thing, and we get to the Broadway touring. My kids, I took them to go see it, and we were kind of in the back, and you know, they threw the toilet paper out. It was so much fun. Do they still do that?
Yeah, we do a different version of it on tour, but we do have finale with paper, so it's really fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me how you got the tours of Mean Girls and Book of Mormon.
Yeah, another just becoming friends and creating connections in the community. I met the chair I took over, or the drummer I took over for with Mean Girls through another colleague from Blue Man. And he was looking to leave and was trying to find somebody to fill in the role. Mean Girls was a show that like throughout high school was like one of my absolute favorites of all time. A lot of my really close friends, like that was our musical. Like we take car drives and like just listen to that album over and over again. So it was always a bucket list show. And so my friend put me in connection with him when she found out he was going to be leaving. And weirdly, his partner at the time was somebody I knew from school. I had a connection to her and then him, and we met up. Our tours crossed paths in Mexico City. So I got to go see Mean Girls and meet with them and get coffee and chat and all that stuff. He was kind enough to put my name forward for the job. It just so happened that when he was leaving and when World Tour was ending was perfect crossover. I think it was like a 2-week break or something like that. And so I auditioned in that time and I got the gig, which was like, whoa, my childhood dream is coming true. I'm going to play this book. Oh my gosh. But it was my first professional hit job. A huge pivot from Blue Man, and, having originated a role versus stepping into chair and everything that comes with that as well. And just knowing that, I'm here to walk in and I want nobody to know that the drummers have changed. I had a 2-week period to learn the book, and then I got thrown in. And thankfully, because I knew the music so well from just being obsessed with it in school, the transition was not as stressful as it might have been had I not known the music so well. I was on tour with them from, I think it was November until it closed in June of that following year. Another connection through Mean Girls was why I got moved over to Book of Mormon. The former AMD of the tour I was on moved to Book of Mormon as the music director. And so I just, through social media and sending memes, literally got to know him, and we became good friends. And then he asked if I had interest to hop over to Book of Mormon. And that book is beast, an absolute beast. And I had such a fun time playing that show. And I feel like it really, challenged me in ways that benefit me so much as a musician. But it just is so fun to play. There's a lot happening. And with that book too, in addition to the music itself being very involved, the music director isn't usually cueing any of the click tracks or any of that stuff. It's all in the drum book. One of the biggest pieces in that show at the very beginning, Hasadiga Ibawai, there's 32 Roland trigger cues throughout that whole song. It's crazy. So not only am I trying to, learn the drum part, but I'm also responsible for cueing all of the clicks for everybody and all the loops happening. And then there's also a pad that stops all the music. So I'm also it was a challenge for sure. And it was another really quick turnaround, 2 weeks to learn the book and then get thrown in. I remember that one being oh my gosh, this is crazy. Ultimately, it's just having an absolute blast with that book. I'm taking over the drummer for that show that I took over for. His name's Jared Shaw, one of the best kit players I had ever been around in my life. So huge shoes to fill, but nonetheless an honor to fill them, and had a great time with them and got asked to come back to Blue Man. So I ended up leaving early, but with good standing. So hoping it's not the end of my Book of Mormon days, because that book is so fun. So much happening there. Yeah.
I got to go see that show. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I remember seeing it. I remember people telling me about it. They're like, it's so irreverent. You got to see it and be ready.
It's really shocking. That was the other thing. I mean, I knew of its reputation, but it's definitely something that's interesting to take around the country and see how people respond to it. That was kind of one of my favorite things, was people watching on my conductor camera and see oh, who's gonna leave the show tonight, which never actually happened. But I always thought oh, she's definitely gonna leave.
It's like this pearl clutching.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting to see those reactions in different parts of the country. But I think for the most part, when you go to see Book of Mormon, you kind of know what you're getting into, but you don't know how far it's going to go.
You really don't. I mean, the day that I left, I was just ooh, some of those things. I'm wow, I can't believe we said that. And we would be, in Florida or a deep South state, and Hasadiga Ibawai means fuck you, God. They were insane. And it gets worse. They say worse things than that in that song. And I'm oh my God, it's really, I mean, the actors on stage every night the bravery that they have to do that. And it's honestly, it's inspiring. This is a side story. Talk about being uncomfortable. I really hope he watches this. My parents, the pastor that my parents have been with for years, who is actually really a close friend, family friend of ours, wanted to pit sit with me when we came through Wisconsin for Book of Mormon. And I was are you sure that you want to do that? And so he did pitch it with me. And I was just like, I kept looking back and I was like, are you okay? You okay? I know this is a lot, but especially the baby thing. The baby thing. Like, no.
It's like, here's a glass of holy water. Just go ahead and drink it.
Yeah.
Don't sprinkle it. Just go ahead and chug it.
Yeah. Oh, crazy.
So the Rockstar sparkly kit, trumpet, marimba. You also play piano and bass, and you sing. And you write your own music too. Tell me about all that.
Before we jump back into the episode, we want to ask a quick favor. If you like what you're hearing on the podcast, please take a moment to leave us a glowing 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Those reviews really matter. They help other musicians like you find the podcast, and all of us here truly appreciate the support. We also want to let you know that we've got new merchandise available now at signaturebrandworks.com. We've got backpacks, sweatshirts, t-shirts, sweatpants, mugs, tote bags, hats, beanies, mouse pads, and a whole lot more. Practical stuff you can actually use, whether you're heading to rehearsal, the gym, a session, or just living your life. Thanks again for listening, for supporting the show, and for being part of this community. Now let's get back to the episode.
Yeah, I'm a nerd. That's basically what it comes down to. I'm a big nerd. My family, my whole life, I've just been like drenched in music. It's everywhere all the time. There's never a moment of silence. In my parents' house, I can't stand silence. In my own company either. There's something playing. I think just so much of the music world, like I just want to know it all. Like I never will, but I'm always trying to learn more. And so bass especially, that's kind of like the newest thing I've taken interest in. I know all of it at the end of the day contributes to me being a better drummer and like understanding, what, like I'm listening to bass in a different way now that I'm like trying to learn it a little bit and stuff. So a lot of it just comes out of my own nerdy curiosity and just wanting to learn more. And I found that curiosity at the time, I might not think much of what I'm doing, but weirdly, it has shown up within my career multiple times where like, oh, that one project you did for fun actually helped you get this thing. A big thing has been I did an audition for Cirque du Soleil in London a couple of years ago, and it was kind of like an invite only audition. And the reason that they were like interested in seeing me was because of I did a video playing Esperanza Spalding's I Know You Know, which I did just for fun. And they were like, oh, that's really cool. Like, we want to see you in London because we saw you do this video you just did out of your own enjoyment at the time. So a lot of like, I've let myself go down those paths and maybe within like a few steps out of the drumming world sometimes because I found it, one, keeps me from getting burnt out with drumming. Like I'm always practicing and getting better in music in some way. But then I'm always motivated to come back to my instrument too at the end of the day. And because I've seen it more than once now show up in my career where like a project I really didn't think anything of has proved to be helpful. The other really big example of this was a project I did during COVID where I wrote a piece called Cherry Limeade, which I didn't think anything of at all, but I was trying to find a way to do something and connect with a group of friends that I made with the University of Costa Rica. I wanted to do something with them because they're a huge part of my musical path. And we're in 2 different countries and it's COVID and I can't do anything. So I started learning Ableton, trying to understand that software. And we did a virtual project where I used that. And then that is the main thing that we run Blue Man Group on, and I have to know a lot about. And so just weirdly, like this project that I was doing for fun to connect with my friends has now turned into something that was crucial to me getting this job, and like the fact that I walked in and I already knew how to use it really helped. And the compositional side of things is another outlet for me to like continue to be creative and get better at music, but not necessarily playing all the time. I mostly do it out of just enjoyment and not professionally, but have written things for people over the last couple of years. And also now I'm involved in this new musical called the Decibel Radio Hour as an arranger and an orchestrator for it, which has been kind of the biggest writing project that I've done thus far.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people listening or watching this want to do what you're doing or what you've done. What's one piece of advice that you would give to them to say, you know what, if you want to do this, you should probably think about that?
Oh, and I have two. So,
Yes.
okay. One of the biggest things, this is like specifically for people in school. I've been saying this a lot this year. Don't assume just because you don't have the degree yet that it means that you can't start networking now in school. Start connecting to people now, because that's a huge reason why I'm here. I didn't let the fact that I was a student at the time stop me from reaching out to people that really inspired me and asked questions. I would be shocked if anyone would be like, who are you? Why are you asking me these questions? You know, when you come to somebody you are really inspired by with curiosity and you're asking them about how they got to where they are, they're going to be more than happy to share that with you. I think there's so many of us that probably share similar stories in the fact that they met people that like really mentored them and like helped them get to where they are. And so I think don't sell yourself short just because you don't have the degree yet. Like, do it now. Start it now. Start building the network now. I think that's one of the biggest things I would say. The other thing I would say to people actively now auditioning for things, because I've gotten to do two similar but different kinds of roles, one on stage and originating and the other stepping into a role. Really know the job you're trying, like what you're walking into. What is your role? I've seen in my time a lot of drummers that will try to especially pit playing stuff, and insert too much of their own individuality, even though it is great and they're fantastic technical players. Just know if you're stepping into a role, everything that you do as a pit player, I think, should be intentional. You should have a good reason for why you're playing there or doing this or doing that. Does it contribute to the story? Like all of these things, like knowing that your role, especially stepping into a drum book, is not to bring attention onto yourself, and make sure like every decision you're making is contributed to the story and supporting the actors on stage, especially. But also, you know, you don't want anybody to know that you are different than the other drummer. Just knowing the difference between each gig, because a session drumming, gigging out with your jazz combo, being Blue Man Rockstar, doing Cirque du Soleil, playing in a pit orchestra, like it's all drumming, but the approach is different. So understanding what is your role is a big thing.
Very good advice. Hopefully people will take that and run with it, because it's really important, especially the networking part. The more you network, the more people you know, the more opportunities you can bring into your life. You're on tour now with Blue Man. You said you're orchestrating and doing other things with a new musical. Looking ahead, what are some of the things that you're working on outside of the Blue Man and touring?
Yeah, I'm working on a solo project right now. It's another big thing out here. I've wanted to have my own band for a really long time. And so I've been working on writing music for a project called Lemon, which I'm really hoping once this tour closes, so dedicate a lot of my time off to That's my ultimate dream, is getting something like that off the ground. Nothing crazy, but just like being able to like tour, have a small little tour with my group of friends playing music. Besides, like, it's a goal for me. So that's one thing. The Dust Bowl radio hour is a big thing that I will be like dedicating a lot of time once I'm done with this too. We are dropping an album in a week, just under a week actually, on the 6th. We just had a listening party in New York last night. The people on this album are like, JJ Neiman is on it, which is crazy. Kennedy Kugel's on it, which is crazy. So I think that musical has legs. And so I'll be using a lot of my free time just editing arrangements, because I had just a short anecdote about it. I got asked to do this kind of last minute. The writer, they had planned to do this concept album, and then it was going to be like this summer that they were planning to do a reading at Oklahoma City University for it. And that reading got bumped up to like the beginning of January. And so I had to arrange like 30 pieces in something like 6 weeks. So I just literally was like, trying to write it all out. And now I need to go back and like, like clean it up and edit things. And we've been talking about different cuts and things we're going to make to it. I'll be dedicating quite a bit of time to that project as well. There are other things on the horizon, which I cannot say, but there's exciting things in the works that are going on besides those things as well.
Well, I'm going to say there's a Rockstar drum set that's coming out. It's going to be Blue Sparkle. It's going to be a Yamaha deep. Every single brand is going to have the Rockstar, the Mackenna Tolfa Rockstar. I don't know. That's awesome. Do you play any specific drums for the Blue Man Group?
We're playing DWs in this tour. Yeah, for Blue Man. Love DW. I am a big Gretsch gal. So my kit at home, this beautiful blue satin Renown series kit, which I think about it and I miss it often. So also be spending a lot of time just practicing and all that stuff on that beauty, because she doesn't have the sparkle, but she is blue. She is blue.
See, it all comes back to that. I think there's already Rockstar energy drink. Everybody wants to be a rock star, but you are a rock star.
You are too.
Oh, please. I'm just an old man with a beard who wants to be part of Blue Man, but had missed that boat. Congratulations on yours, and you will be doing things like Lady Gaga or bigger than that. So congratulations to where you are right now. Much continued success. Very nice to get to know you and talk to you, and I'm looking forward to hearing this new show and the new album and the secret thing that you're going to drop. Whatever that is, I'll be following.
Sounds good. And best of luck with Delico Ball stuff. I've also been following all that. It's amazing.
Nice to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you too. Thank you. Bye.